Hey, welcome to Good Times with Alex and Ryan. I'm Ryan Sprague. My handle is at Ryan W. Sprague. You can follow me on any social media. Alex.
I'm Alex Vanover. You can follow me on Twitter at Vandollar15.
What?
What's going on today?
What is going on today?
Yeah, let me know. Well, obviously,
the fucking world's falling apart, man. Like, you got dogs and cats living together.
Sacrifice dogs and cats living together. Mass hysteria.
Stuff, man.
So our governor, Kate Brown, announced a shelter-in-place-ish commandment on Friday, which means nothing. I guess it means just keep social distancing, but I guess they're supposed to announce the official one on Monday. So all non-essential workers have to stay home, and unless you're going to the grocery store, like the doctor or an appointment or some exercise outside for a little bit, you have to stay home. So, but it's weird. I feel like they should just do it now because it's getting out of hand now, isn't it? A little bit.
So I don't know what exactly is going on from what I see. All I do is see the news. So I don't know what really is happening. I actually liked Britain's first response, where it was like, hey, we're going to get through this. We're just going to go through life as normal. We'll quarantine anyone who has it. 70s and older, we'll make sure they stay home. I'm like, okay, that's a good long-term solution. But I guess people, they got another health report saying, hey, no, this is a pretty scary epidemic. It's going to spread fast. It's going to overwhelm everything. So then they change their tone. But yeah, I don't know. It hasn't hit all of us. I guess Italy is getting pretty bad. It's just getting overran. And Italy is more of a Western nation that's has a more of an open press, because we don't know exactly what's going on in China and how bad it was and how many people were killed.
Italy, I just read, had over 700 deaths today from the coronavirus.
Wow. Yeah.
So 701 day. So I actually was kind of like you, I read everything online and I read the newspapers and I get my information that way. But I hadn't really actually had anything affect me directly yet until this week. Two of my good friends are sick with the exact symptoms, and they're quarantined right now in Portland. They're like really sick.
Wow.
With like pneumonia symptoms and can't breathe. My buddy couldn't even get in the shower last night on his own power. So it's a real thing. Like, obviously it's a real thing, but it's different when it actually
hits home and it actually
hits that close. Huh? Yeah, I was the best man in this guy's wedding. I introduced these two. I introduced him to his wife. So, they're very close to me. So it's kind of scary. I'm worried about it a lot, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Huh. Well, I mean, they're doing everything.
How are you?
They're doing everything they can, except for forcing people to stay home and like closing everything, because China was able to just say, hey, you can't leave this city and we're going to close everything down. You cannot exit your buildings. But I think they're doing most everything they can to slow it down, because they totally shut down California, like 40 million people. So
good.
Yeah.
Good. It needs to be. People are still going to the beach. Spring breakers are still turning up. Like, they're just acting ridiculous. I mean, stay home, read some books, do some wall squats, do some push-ups, spend time with your significant other, play some video games with your kids. Like, there's so many things you can do. I don't understand why this is such an issue. Most people nowadays, especially before this whole thing even happened, I would go have dinner with 3 or 4 friends and all of us would be on a cell phone. No one would be talking to each other. So how is it that hard to social distance yourself when people have been doing it for like 15 years? This is ridiculous.
Well, it's going to get more so. I hear that your message hasn't changed much since last time, which is
No,
hey,
I just
have a positive attitude, stay home, do what you need to do, work out.
It's more. I think I realize I'm more in tune with how serious it is now.
Yeah.
But seriously, just if you just keep within your own little area and stay busy, there's so many things to do. Like when I was a kid, if I said I was bored, my grandpa would literally walk me out to the garage and hand me a rake and be like, "All right, well, time to rake the grass," and because we had a gigantic redwood in our yard. So it was always shedding leaves and needles and stuff. And it was twofold. It's like I got exercise. I wasn't bored anymore. Grandpa would pay me $5. And then when we did a slip and slide, I wouldn't have needles going up my ass when I was going down the freaking slip and slide in the yard. So actually it helped in many ways. You know what I'm saying? There's so many things people can do.
Yeah,
I don't want to hear you're bored.
No one wants needles there.
In my belly button, on my chest, road rash on this freaking. We didn't even have a slip and slide either. We just had a tarp. You know what I mean? The big blue tarp, and we would just soak it down with the hose. And this is in the 80s, man. We would drink out of that hose. Oh, yeah. I remember one time drinking out of that damn hose, and a snail came out of it, like almost, with my mouth. Drinking out of the hose in your yard was scarier than drinking in the elementary school outside fountain, because you never knew who peed in it. You don't know what's going on there. That's a problem.
That is a problem.
We had issues, like we had health issues going all the way back then. I remember being in grade school at Bangor, and I would walk in, and I'm like 7 years old, and I would even think to myself, how come no one can flush the toilet? Every time I would go into a bathroom in grade school, none of the toilets were flushed. They were all just...
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm talking about?
I remember now. Yes, it was the weirdest. Yeah, I go in.
Yeah.
Okay, well, not using that one. Go to the next. Well, not using that one.
Yeah. Or you go to a fountain. I used to have fountains that I would check out in the high school. Like I knew where the coldest fountain was in the entire school. It was in the gym. And there was also a really good fountain in the freshman hall. So I would scout these fountains out. And one time I really was thirsty, and I had to walk all the way from the junior building to the freshman hall to get some water. And someone had spit like a gigantic loogie in it. Aww. So it was disgusting. Yeah, my mouth was still dry, Ryan.
Oh,
and I didn't have 35 cents to get a surge. I was screwed.
Hey audience, can we get some F's in the chat for my main man Alex, who wanted a drink of water and just couldn't get it? His mouth was so dry. It was
parched.
Parched. Parched, my friends. F's in the chat.
Someone stand up for me and relate to me and what I'm saying, because that was a problem. Couldn't go to the bathroom where I wanted to. Couldn't drink water where I wanted to. High school was hell.
So these days, there's been a trend towards stuff like online hanging out, like Twitch. Have you heard of Twitch?
Oh, yeah. People stream video games on it all the time.
Well, and it's not just streaming video games. They have these in real life things where people just get on there and talk. And it's almost like hanging out because you're typing back, which is, it's kind of a movement to where people kind of hanging out. I mean, because sometimes they'll take them to restaurants and such, and they'll start talking to the people around them and the people online. So that might explode in a little bit. I would think if we have to stay inside all the time,
There was a guy one time I went into an Albertsons, and I was going to get a cantaloupe or some sort of fruit or something. And this guy is like talking with his hands. He's having a full on conversation, screaming at somebody. And I'm like, this guy's crazy. He's talking to this cantaloupe. He's having a full on conversation with this melon. And then I kind of creep around him, and I kind of hide behind the onion area, and I see that he's
the onion area. Your head slowly peeks up, and your eyes slowly go up, and you're looking at his front or at his back.
I'm kind of at 9 o'clock on the like if we're going that. So I'm looking at him, and I'm like, this guy is having a full on conversation with this cantaloupe, and it turns out he was had a Bluetooth in. He had like one of those little Bluetooth headpieces in. He was talking to his wife or significant other, but okay, he's not crazy, right? He's not talking to this cantaloupe, but he is a jerk because he's screaming in the middle of the produce section. So it's like, okay, well, he's not crazy, but he's still, a dick. Everybody in the produce section can hear this guy. I don't know when it's ripe. Will you feel the bottom? I don't know. What are you talking about?
Hashtag when wives send their husbands shopping.
Yeah, he like, oh man. But when I was a little kid, this is an absolutely factual story. When I was like 8, my mom would give me a list and I would walk down to Safeway. I was like Kevin McAllister in Home Alone, and I would shop for the groceries at like 8 years old. I had coupons. I did. She would clip the coupons.
It's awesome. That's cool.
I remember going down to the store and my mom would write me a note, a handwritten note, and say, Alex is allowed to buy beer or cigarettes. And I would be able to purchase it as an 8-year-old.
I remember buying ammo young at that age, but I'm surprised you were able to get away with alcohol and cigarettes.
They knew my mom. They knew my grandpa. So I remember going down to Safeway one time when I was 9 or 10. I didn't have any money on me, but they let me buy some candy or something that I wanted. And they're like, oh, we'll just catch up to your grandparents later. And then Grandpa paid for it when we went to the store together. It was the weirdest thing. Times were so much different back then.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah. I also remember... Yeah, here's another crazy story. Whenever milk was buy one get one free, my mom would go to the spots where she knew the circulars would be like thrown in the garbage, and we would go dig in the garbage cans and get the buy one get one free circulars. And my mom would like buy like 20 gallons of milk and we'd freeze it.
Yeah, dude, that's the way to do it, man. That's good.
Yeah, we would.
I remember when couponing was big last recession, and my wife. And I went to the garbage dump, to look through the recycling area to see if we could find newspapers to
get coupons.
Yeah.
Well, your wife's a genius because have you ever watched those extreme couponing shows?
Oh, she did that and she got money back. She got like 120%.
They're like you get all your groceries. You've got all the 0-calorie Powerades you can handle, all the yakisoba noodles you can handle, because those are always the coupons.
Yeah, exactly.
You got crates and crates of yakisoba noodles, and then they're like, okay, well, Miss Sprague, here, all your stuff. You got 3 carts worth. You need a handout. We actually owe you $8.52.
Yep. Yeah. I think what happened is it took off, and some people were doing it dishonestly, using coupons where they shouldn't, and it was showing it online and people were getting mad, and so they stopped doing that as much. So she stopped because they stopped having those great deals.
Ryan, I used to work for a guy who would go to Market of Choice, and they have a really good seasoning section and like pistachio nuts, and really expensive things, and you take the barcode and you put it on the bag, right? Mm-hmm. He would get something that was expensive and put a barcode from something that was less expensive on the bag, so when they're scanning it, he's getting the expense. And he would do this every time. He was such a dirtbag. He's my boss. He
was your boss and he was doing that?
Yes.
So, did he own the store or what?
No, he did not own the store. The place I worked at, he owned, but he was just one of those guys that one time he got caught.
Yeah.
And the cashier was like, "Oh, this is supposed to be X amount of dollars, but you're paying Y, and Y is way less than X." And he was like, "Oh, sorry about that. I must have put the wrong UPC code down. My bad."
You know what?
And then and he totally got away with it.
Well, you know what? I work in retail, and they know when you're stealing. Like, you're not getting away with it. It's just they can't do anything about it. Like, they think they're so clever.
Yeah, they can't call you out on it.
Hey, I have my purse. I forgot my cash. I need to go outside with my purse. I'll be right back for this stuff. Goes out, dumps everything in the purse, comes back. Like, oh, You seem to forget that every time. Just so forgetful. You know?
I forgot my purse.
Or
I'm at the store. I forgot my purse.
She has her purse, but she forgets her wallet every time because she stuffs her purse with different things, and she's like over at the checkout stand. Oh crap! Forgot it again. I'll be right back.
Oopsie!
And as she walks out, everyone's like, "Oh."
I used to bartend a lot, and I would get people that would come in, and they're not 21. They're not even close to 21. And I'd be like, hey, can I see your ID? I just want to check it out. And they'd be like, oh, I totally forgot my wallet. And then they'd go back out, and I'd never see them again.
No, they do that too.
Completely ghost me.
Yeah, it's just they places don't want you to confront people that steal because it just causes more liability and hassles than it's worth. If they're like blatantly taking things that is like over $100 all the time, then maybe they'll do something about it. But generally, I mean, unless it's like Target, I think Target's really on it. I think Walmart, they have like facial recognition, but people really rob Walmart a lot. I think it's like $1 billion a year. So
yeah, I knew a guy, or didn't know a guy, I knew of a guy who had went into a Walmart and bought one of those big Eskimo coolers, the igloo coolers, right? He filled it with a bunch of electronics and paid for the cooler, and he got through until it's, the UPC thing started going off because the stuff in the cooler wasn't paid for. So he eventually got caught, but I felt like the cashier should have noticed that cooler shouldn't have weighed 200 pounds.
Well, sometimes they have the cashiers open up the coolers
just to make sure.
Yeah, because they.
So, hey, let me
sneaky.
Hey, let me tell you one quick story while we're talking about this.
Yeah.
When I was living in Albany, my brother also moved to Albany during that time, and he had a house with my dad. And my brother used to go to this grocery store that he really liked the chicken from the deli. Okay, so this guy starts Aaron gets to the deli, and this guy who's standing next to him is getting his chicken dinner. And the guy's supposed to be getting ready to pay for the chicken, and instead of paying, he takes his 20-piece family bucket and just bolts for the door. Okay, he sprints out the door. So my brother, being crazy, decides to chase this guy. So he chases the guy out to the parking lot. Chases him out to the parking lot. Yes, because of a bucket of chicken. Chokes him out. Holds him in the parking lot till the police come. My dad leisurely strolls out to see what's going on, sits on the curb, eating a drumstick, watching my brother choking out some guy who just stole a 20-piece family bucket from the grocery store. The cops show up, and they're like, "Oh, Mr. Vanover, we really appreciate all the effort you put into catching this chicken thief. But next time, just let him go, because it's not worth you getting, shanked or shot over, because this homeless." And it turned out the guy was homeless and just wanted to eat. So I tease my brother all the time. I'm like, "Remember the time you tackled a guy who just wanted to eat a piece of chicken, and you tackled him and held him down, and the poor guy was starving and couldn't fight you off because he had no energy because he was starving."
Oh man, yeah. Usually it's like people like that steal a lot, but that's terrible. Yeah, that
happened.
Wow. And what were you doing? Just like, okay.
I wasn't even there. I was probably at work, and then later on, my brother was like, "Yeah, let me tell you what happened. I was at the grocery store getting in a 3-piece, and anyway, this guy decided to rob the grocery store." So he built it up like he was some big hero.
Oh.
But in actuality, this poor guy just wanted a piece of chicken, and Aaron choked him out.
Wow.
Great guy. Medal of Honor.
Well, sometimes it works, because I was at a restaurant in Portland, a Chinese restaurant in Portland once with a group of friends. and we had some really big dudes next to us who were they were going to a UFC fight. All of a sudden, we hear this scream up front, and these guys run outside. Later on, they come back and they told us what happened. Is there's this guy that he was over by the counter. He took a cane and whacked the cashier lady and stole some money. And they ran out there. They're big, and they had him on the ground, waiting for the police to show up. And the guy's like still trying to fight him, and they're like, "Dude, we could kill you. Like, what?"
You should just lay here and not get thrashed.
Yeah, exactly. So that was an interesting story. It's just
anybody that wears a tap out shirt is either actually tough or thinks they're tough. Either way, it's going to be a hell of a fight because they're going to be trying to prove how tough they are or aren't. Basically, anybody in Coos Bay.
Anybody in Coos Bay with a tap out shirt? I haven't heard that.
Everybody in Coos Bay. No, I would. You'd see somebody and it's like, oh, that dude wears a tap out shirt. He thinks he's tough.
Oh,
because tap out's like the UFC brand. Oh yeah, he's badass. He's got a tap out shirt on.
I think that was it was before all that. It was early, but whew.
I never really had issues with bullies or anything growing up. When I did, I would always take it until I would address it, and then I would handle it. I've only been in like 3 or 4 altercations, but I've never. I don't know. I've never stood for that sort of stuff. I mean, I put Chris through a drywall. At Mackenzie's house. Do you remember that?
I thought that was at Mike's house because
that was at Mackenzie's house.
What was with the drywall at Mike's house? Because I remember his dad having to fix it and being mad at you.
The wall. What had happened at Mike's house?
It happened at both houses. I remember now.
This is what happened. Let me tell you what happened. So at Mackenzie's house, Chris put a chokehold on me, like a reverse chokehold.
Oh, you slammed him back. I was there.
Yeah, and Chris weighed probably 108 pounds, soaking wet. So I picked him up, and I refused to tap out, so I just put all my weight and slammed him as hard as I could. And he crumpled onto the ground and just like totally dropped. And everybody in the living room, including you, was like, "Why didn't you just tap out?" And I was like, "I'm not going to tap out to him. Like, he's trying to choke me. He was trying to hurt me." And the back of the wall had actually left an indentation, like a whole full body indentation of him. So it looked like a cartoon, like a whole outline of his body was in the back of Mackenzie's living room wall. So what happened at Mike's house? Wait,
hold on. I got another story similar. So at the same exact house, we would play this game where, like, I guess you could beat up on a person if they farted until they.
Yeah, it was called doorknob.
Yeah, doorknob. So you had me down on the ground, just beating the crap out of me. And Mackenzie's mom looks at it. She's like, "Just stop it, stop this. You need to behave." It must have looked pretty bad. You must have been beating the crap. Doorknob!
If you farted and didn't say safety before the other person said doorknob, you had to get to the doorknob and touch it. Before, and if you didn't make it, they could tackle you and beat the crap out of you.
You're like twice my weight, and you were on top of me. There was no way I was getting to that doorknob.
Oh, I was like a lion ready to hunt. I was always looking for someone to fart so I could pounce.
So Mike,
let me tell my story. Oh, hold on, real quick. The story about Mike's house.
Yeah,
we paintballed his house as a senior prank.
Oh, and I remember being okay. So we went and visited over at his house, and I remember it being so awkward because his dad knew you did it.
Yes.
I didn't know this was going on. I didn't know you guys were shooting up houses with paintballs. And he's like, Alex, did you do it? And you're like, "No, man, no." Little 5 minutes
Oh,
later, Alex, I know you did it. You better face up. He's like, no, man, no. And he does it again. Alex, you did it. And he's like, okay, okay, I did it. Yes.
Of all the houses to paintball to, I picked one of the houses that fed me basically almost every night throughout high school because they were really good to me.
I don't know how they knew I didn't have any part in it. Like,
I think that
someone told or something.
So they probably already knew what had happened, and they just wanted to see if I would tell the truth or not. Because I remember paintballing the house, and the next day, Bill was out there trying to get the paint off the side of the house, and we left like dents, I think, in the wood outside the front door.
Big paint.
Yeah, I felt really bad. That was one of the things I wish I could actually change. That they definitely didn't deserve that at all. Maybe Mike. Maybe we should have just held Mike out in his boxers and paintballed him, but not the actual house. Hey, let's just line up Mike, Wagner, Jimmy, all those guys, and just paintball the piss out of them.
You're brutal, man. You're brutal. Oh man. There was this one kid, guy named Ryan from our school, like him and a group of people. This one kid, he would hold up like a Pizza Hut sign, and they went by and paintballed him. I mean, it was pretty sad.
Wait, so his job is to hold the Pizza Hut sign as he's working?
You probably knew who he was, but he held up the...
Oh, man.
Kind of an awkward guy. He held up the sign, and then a guy named Ryan... And his last name was a certain orthological nature, but he's no longer with us. But he and a group of friends went and paintballed this kid on the corner.
Jeez, man,
dude, this stuff is bad.
Hey, so you're bringing up pizza. The one last story I want to tell you real quick. So Jimmy used to order pizza to his own house. Right? Order like 10, 12 pizzas to his own house and then run across the street and hide in the woods and watch the pizza guy show up and try to deliver the pizza to his mom. And his mom would be like, I didn't order any pizza. I didn't order 12 pizzas. What are you doing? And Jimmy would just be in the woods laughing, to himself crazily. He thought it was the funniest thing ever. He would prank himself. Who does something like that?
Well, we know.
Yeah, Jimmy. Unbelievable. Okay, hold on. One more story.
We can keep going, man. We got...
Yeah, okay.
You got to go. I mean, because we got quarantined.
Okay, so Jimmy...
might as well go.
I'm not even officially off work yet. Well, I don't find out till Monday because Kate Brown is being so vague. She's like a girl I asked out in 8th grade. It's like, well, I might go out with you. It just depends on what happens, later. I don't know. Maybe. Seriously, she had no clue what she wanted. Size. Yeah, hashtag fun size clip coming your way.
Yeah. All right, I think we've had enough fun for this episode.
Yeah, you wrapping it up?
I'm wrapping it up. Hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. Tune in next time. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye. See you later.